What's going on, everybody? TheKennyDubz here with another Mega Man X Live character overview video. Halloween Pandora is releasing pretty soon in the global version, so today we're going to be taking a look at her. Alright, and here's Halloween Pandora, one of the few seasonal units I have because Taiwan version got a week of free 10 pulls on her, just like the global version will be getting once a banner drops, and that's how I got her. Hopefully I get her in the global version as well. But let's take a look at her skills. So first up, we have Flying Attack. Form an extremely quick charge at the opponent to deal 266% attack damage. I had to go look it up again because mine is level 27, so that's not the base level of your attack. You're invulnerable while attack during a charge. When playing an arena, you can use the skill to teleport to the location of your target and ignore terrain. If the target is available, attack will be formed on the spot. Very, very good skill here. Does a decent chunk of damage, and it allows you to just TP to the enemy's location, assuming that they're in range, which is always great. Let's take a look at the modifier chips. Mobility, prep time reduced by 20%. I think it's on a 6-second cooldown, so this should bump it down to sub 5 seconds. Showtime, and not suffer negative stat effects while using Flying Attack, so we have access to true Showtime here because of this chip right there. It'd be great if this was just kind of like inherently in the skill, but there's not bad. And then weapon seal after hitting, render the target unable to use a weapon, which isn't bad as well, so then the target has to rely on their character skills. However, I think that if you're using Halloween Pandora in PvP, which is for the most part, I think we're going to be using her, either that or like maybe raids, you're probably going to be using Showtime, just because Showtime is so nice to have access to. Next up, continuous circulation. For this one, we release magic wands that surround you and deal about 70% attack damage to targets that come in contact with you, and then you can use the skill again within 6 seconds to hurl the staffs and deal damage. So that's pretty nice there, as you can use the circulation, you can just kind of bump into enemies, or you can throw them at targets. I believe it's six wands that surround you with this skill. As for the modifier chips, we have Surrounding Enhancement. When you are surrounded by the magical wands, increase damage multiplier for the wands by 10%. Throwing Enhancement. When you throw out the magical wands, increase damage multiplier for the wands by 10%. And then we have Dance of Magic Wands. And obtain Invincible Barrier and temporarily take no damage while you're surrounded by the magic wands. This is the skill you're probably going to have on like all the time when you're on Pandora, even if you're not using it for PvP, just because having access to iframes, only 2 seconds, but that is still more than enough in most cases. I believe that's the same amount of time as a Distinct Chameleon chip as well, if I'm not mistaken. So let's take a look at her passive skills now. First up, we have Changing into a Witch, and this one I actually like a lot. At the beginning of a stage, get an enhanced crit damage status that cannot be removed, increase crit damage by 180%. This skill will only be activated once per stage. So, unfortunately, it can only be activated once per stage. However, it increases your crit damage by 180%. So with that alone, you probably have a good idea of what Halloween Pandora is looking to do. She's looking to just lay into enemies with crits, which is quite nice. And since this can't be removed, that is very, very nice as well. However, I think it can still be stolen by Grudge Axe, which sucks. I think it can anyway. Penetration Enhancement. When you throw your magic wand, it will penetrate one additional target, and the damage after penetration is 25%. I don't really like this passive at all. I think this could have been almost anything else, to be quite honest. So, this passive just seems to be kind of like one of those wasted slots. Next up, we have Pavana of Moonlight. Hitting a target with continuous circulation, gain an enhanced crit status to increase your crit rate by roughly 29%. It stacks up to 8 times. So, with this skill right here, or with this passive right here, I'm sorry, you actually have a way to increase your crit damage, and I think the enhancement duration is about 6 seconds, which is about the cooldown time of your continuous circulation. So as long as you're hitting with your continuous circulation, you can get a stack of crit to deal more damage, and on top of that, your crit damage will be increased as well because you're hitting into a witch. This only lasts for 40 seconds inherently. I say only 40 seconds, which is still really good. But it's only active once per stage. So we have Secret Ritual, extend the duration of change into a witch by 30%. So this goes up to about a 50-ish second, I think 52 or so seconds, somewhere around there, in terms of how long this will be up if you have this passive unlocked, which is quite nice. So we have Elegy of the Witch here. Increase the range of flying attack by 20%, and damage register of continuous acceleration is accelerated by 20%. The first passive, I'm like, the first part of that, I'm like, okay, that's pretty nice. Then the continue the damage acceleration, I'm like, that could be better. I think that could be a lot better. But increasing the range of this by 20% is quite nice as well. The second half of that, though, isn't all that great. And then let's take a look at the DNA. Now, as per usual, she's not dropping with her DNA. I'm just going over the DNA so that people know what to expect when she gets her DNA in about a year from now, which is when I expect they'll get it, because these characters got their DNA a year after they were released in the Taiwan version. So, first up here, we have HP. So when you hit a target with continuous circulation, recover HP equal 21% of your attack. This effect can only be activated again after a 3-second cooldown. And this here is why I mentioned earlier, might want to use Halloween Pandora for some raid type things. Now, by the time she gets her DNA, there'll probably be much better options. But if you like Halloween Pandora, I think she'll be good in raid because of this. You just have to hit with your circulation to recover 20% of your attack. This isn't bad in PvP either, but in order for this to be relevant, you have to not get one-tapped. So, at the current state we're in PvP, at least on the Taiwan side, getting one-tapped, unless you're a really, really defensive unit, it's kind of the norm. By the more recent units, anyway. Next up, we have Continuous Flight. When your flying attack hits a target, you'll be able to use flying attack again, and this effect only triggers once more after 6 seconds. And that would be great if Pandora got it a lot earlier, right? Like, I think this is a good DNA. I think, honestly, to be honest, I think that should be here. Or like maybe like swap the location of penetration enhancement and then switch penetration enhancement with restriction off. That would be so much better, because then she would have access to it before she gets her DNA, as opposed to a year later when she's pretty outclassed. I think she's still usable, but it's gonna be a lot of work to use her. Let's stand one side. And then Moonlight Blessing. I actually really like this one as well. After the effect of changing the witch wears off, you'll receive the status of Moonlight Blessing that cannot be removed, and you'll be able to activate the effects of defense, enhancement, and acceleration by 40%. After this effect wears off, you can once again activate changing into a witch again. The reactivation of changing into a witch will not receive the secret ritual bonus. So basically, this passive allows you to have a higher, well, I want to say a higher uptime of your changing into a witch, which doesn't take much because it's only active once per stage. But once changing wears also after the 52 seconds of the initial one, because of your passive over here, Secret Ritual, you get access to Moonlight Blessings passive, which comes packed with defense enhancement and speed by 40%. And then once this wears off, you get access to changing into a witch again, which is really, really nice, because Halloween Pandora wants to crit. That's what she really, really wants to do here. So as long as you take advantage of that, that'll be very, very nice. But like I said before, the downside with Halloween Pandora's DNA is that she gets it way too late for it to really make a big difference for her in a PvP setting. I think this will still be very useful in raid bosses though, so you can use her there pretty effectively. Even with that though, I think there's better options. But maybe you could use her in like Total Power Battle or something like that, you know. Or maybe the boss challenges, boss rushes. So let's take a look at her unique DNA real quick. And it's crit damage enhancement, resonation. When you're in crit damage enhancement status, increase damage you do by 8%, which is nice, but again, a bit too late. Aside from that, we have short range boost, short range adaptability. The short range boost is quite nice because of how her flying kick works. So you'll be in short range then. Player killer, player sentinel, not bad there. The player killer allows you to just deal more damage in PvP. Player sentinel reduces damage. Melee amp is very, very good as well. I think this is the only like real amplification she has weapon wise in her kit at all though. So short range amp and melee amp. And then over here, let's see what we got. We have crit damage reduction enhancement. I don't think that's relevant, because I don't know many characters that have access to that. I think there's only one or two. Blind, that's not really that relevant, I don't think either. Shield, defense and special attack, no. Oh god, there's really not much else here worth getting on. So maybe you get the maybe you get the unique DNA over here if you're going to get it. And then over here you grab your short range boost or your player killer or your melee amplification, depending on what you're going to be using for your cards and the rest of your DNA setup. But that's it for Howling Pandora's kit. So let's take a look at some weapons that might pair well with her. Alright, and since Howling Pandora doesn't really inherently prior to DNA have any inherent damage amplification, my first thought was, I think because she wants to crit, I think I would like to pair her with something like Airbuster alongside the Nightmare. So just like the Buster melee combo. Just because Airbuster gives you a speed bonus, so you can engage or disengage quite easily, and then the Nightmare or whatever options you really opt to use. You can also use Grudge Axe as well, Singularity Slasher, something like that. But one of the hidden skills for Nightmare, aside from Nightmare just also being a pretty decent weapon to splash onto anyone, just because of raising your attack. So then you'll do more damage once you crit as well, because you'll have more attack. But Nightmare also just has inherently increasing your crit chance by 36%. So you'll have a higher chance of dealing your crit damage, which would be very, very nice as well. And then actually, I'm not entirely sure if this has anything that'll be too great. No, nothing too great there. But another option I think is very, very good with this is I forgot the name of this weapon, Explosive Bolt. Now again, I don't really like this weapon all that much, but I cannot deny that it is a very, very solid weapon. So access to player killer as well. So if you opt to not go for the Airbuster, I think this is a very, very good option, as well as this increases your range by a lot. This has very, very good range, has access to player killer inherently, so you already deal enhanced damage while in PvP while using this weapon. It has good range, like I said before, and it will also amplify the damage of both of your skills because of the player killer active in PvP type settings. I think Ancient Relic could also be a decent option as well, just because of the utility that it brings alongside the Speed Rune, the Protective Rune, and the Assault Rune. I think Assault Rune would be overkill, to be honest, because it increases your crit damage by a lot, but having access to a shield, because she doesn't have much in the way of iframes on her own, or speed would be good for her. On top of that, you also get a little bit of a crit increase here. That's pretty decent. I think this will be okay as well. The Berserker Greatsword, just because, again, in PvP, if you opt to use your flying attack or flying kick to pursue someone, you can hit them with the Dimensional Rift and Dimensional Convergence to slow them down. Then you can continue to just kind of pizza cut them away, and maybe while your, I forgot the name of this skill, their Canary Circulation is active, you'll be pizza cutting, and you'll be able to maybe mop someone up real quick. Alright, now this isn't a good idea. However, I came across this when I was looking for more weapons with crit. If you really want to get kind of memey, or like maybe you're just a Mega Man Zero fan, because I believe this is a Mega Man Zero reference in terms of a weapon, but I think this weapon and the Gatling gun, after hitting a target, you get access to crit rate increase. So you have a 50% increased chance, or roughly 51% chance to deal crit damage. And on top of that, is it this? This raises the crit chance, but also this right here, Complete Penetration, allows you to just... Oh no, that's for Beam Shot. Oh, I thought that was for... Oh wait, no, yeah, Beam Shot is just your normal fire. I don't know why. Like, I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's probably for a double shot. But I believe that this should just let you just go through terrain, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, I wouldn't really recommend this. I think this is like if you're just kind of trying to be more memey. Although it does have access to Player Sentinel as well if you want to use that, or you can use the rate of fire and energy increase as well. But I think if this works the way I think it does, I think you would want the Complete Penetration. Alongside those, I think the Explosive Blower and Gator Fangs are also decent options as well, just because your flying attack forces you to get into close range with them, with the opposition. So having a powerful weapon at your disposal after you get into close range will be helpful as well. These are just two very, very good sprayers here. This allows you to deal high amounts of damage as well, and this also comes packed with the chance to get them immobilized. Or rather, this has guaranteed immobilized once every 4 seconds once you have access to instant explosion. Another weapon, kind of as per usual, Turbo Cannon. I think Turbo Cannon Cannon God can work decently as well. I didn't show Cannon God, but it's over here. Turbo Cannon, or well, I guess I'll talk Cannon God first since I went back to this. Cannon God can just help you zone, so you can actually weaken a target from a distance and then go for the kill once you have a feeling that they're low, or you can see them being low. And then Turbo Cannon just gives you access to iframes. It's just a very, very nice weapon for that. And again, as per usual, if you're going to opt to use the Turbo Cannon, make sure that you do not unlock the compression energy tank. A lot of people opt against unlocking this because this increases your range and your energy, and that means that it takes you longer to get to empty your clip, which means it takes you longer to get to your iframes, which are locked behind overheat protection. So just be aware of that if you opt to use this weapon for PvP. I think Destructive Laser is also a decent option as well that you can use alongside this. Destructive Laser has a hidden skill that increases your crit by 36% when using this weapon, so you could opt to use this as well. I'm not too keen on using this with her though, but it is an option that has increased crit rate that you could use if you want to. And then I mentioned earlier, Singular Slasher and Grudge Axe if you want to use these. Grudge Axe, most of you that play Global know what this does. This yoinks buffs and also inflicts the out of control status, so just be aware of that when you're going into PvP. And then Singular Slasher, this, I'm sorry, when I say yoink, I mean it steals a buff. I always say yoink, but like, I just assume that people know what yoink means. And Singularity Slasher, this can just cleanse buff. This just dispels buffs from the opposition, so this is a decent option as well. Alright, let's move on to some cards that might pair well with Halloween Pandora as well. Now, as per usual, like my usual spiel, depending on what you're using with characters, will determine what cards you use. However, because I think one of the best ways to use Halloween Pandora is alongside Buster and the melee weapons. Those of you probably already have a very good idea where I'm going with this. Elite Hunters, just when you're using Buster and melee, these are like the go-to cards that you use. 2 copies of Elite Hunter will be fantastic as you get access to your double amp and double adaptabilities 2 and 3. Then you just need a red card alongside them to trigger off of those. So that's very, very nice there. Other options you can use if you really want to. You can use the Life Aura for Player Killer, the Sigma X4 for Player Killer, Violin also has Player Killer as well. Then down here, the map card is actually a decent option you can use as well, because this will have Player Killer 2 once you max it out. This triggers off of red-blue, and you need a red card to go alongside the Elite Hunters anyway. So this is a nice little budget option here if you don't have another decent red card to trigger off of them. And you get the Elite Hunters card from your guild, so make sure you're actively doing things in your guild, like the donation, to make sure you get up to the point where you can get access to the Elite Hunters, and then check your guilds daily for that as well. The Akuma card also has access to Way of the Fist, which you can make use of alongside Player Killer just because it doesn't have the same name. You just have to be aware that this is red, red, blue, so you wouldn't be able to stack this and get access to Way of the Fist with 2 copies of Elite Hunters like I had suggested earlier. M. Bison also has access to Player Killer if you want it there as well. If you don't have the Elite Hunters card and you're looking for another way to get double amplification 3 or even 2, you can find it here with the successfully completed card. You won't get access to the second skill on this, however, you could stack 2 successfully completed cards alongside a green card to get access to double amp 2 and double amp 3. Also, I have to mention, you also get this from your guild as well. Alright, I think that's going to wrap it up for Halloween Pandora. Actually, I kind of like Halloween Pandora as a unit, which I think I might have mentioned already. But unfortunately, she's the worst of the 3 Halloween units that we got, which is why we're getting a week of free pulls on her, unfortunately. I do think she has its uses. I don't think she's bad for PvP. I just think she gets overshadowed a lot because they're just better options. But if you opt to invest into her, I think she'll be decent for at least a little while in PvP. It just sucks that her DNA is going to come so late. so like it won't even be relevant for there. But you can also use her, like I said, in raid bosses or total power battle once we get those, and maybe boss rushes as well. Because you're going as fast as possible in boss rushes as it is, you know, the 40 seconds from this probably won't hit you too hard. Oh, well, no, the 52 seconds, because that'll probably be around where you're trying to hit anyway. Though once this falls off, you might notice a huge difference in her damage, so maybe not for boss rushes as much. But that's going to be it for Halloween Pandora. Good luck to those of you that are pulling for her with the intent of getting her, at least off the free pulls. And just good luck to everyone in general for your free pulls coming out for her as well. At the very worst, we get patches out of it. And you know what? I can use some more character patches. But I want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon and YouTube channel members for continuing to support me, allowing me to continue doing what I do. If you can support me on Patreon or as a YouTube channel member, you can find the information down below the video. And I'll catch you guys next time. Later.